Annyeonghaseyo, Yorobun. Welcome back to Daebak Reacts TV, your one-stop shop for all things beats, bars, and of course, big Daebak energy. I'm back in the studio, and this time I actually have a very exciting announcement, so you'll want to stick around until the end of this video. Now, this ajushi, there's one secret that I've kept from all of you, is this ajushi is secretly a gamer. That's one of my go-to hobbies when I'm not busy. And I gotta tell you this, being an ajushi gamer is actually quite exciting in 2025 especially, because I've seen how games have evolved over the years. I've been playing games, I'm talking about computer games. I've been playing computer games ever since I was probably 13. And I remember my first computer that I ever owned was a Compaq. That was a company called Compaq. Presario. That was the name. I still remember this. And this computer was, I'm not talking about your gaming PC that's available for you to build these days. No. I'm talking about one of those old school monstrous devices. So we had a monitor that was almost equivalent to the old televisions that your grandfather or even your father or your dad probably owned back in the day. I'm not talking about the LCD or the OLED screens that we find today. I'm talking about this sort of box that we had, right? So the monitors were kind of similar. We had this box, and we would connect that to the CPU. The CPU would be this huge rectangular box with like multiple drives. So you had a floppy disk drive. Yeah, I don't even know if you know what a floppy disk is. I'll put a picture here. But yeah, we had a floppy disk drive, a CD drive or a CD-ROM drive, right, where we would put discs and the disc would go in and we would be able to run the software that was written on the disc, right? But even back before that, we didn't have CD-ROMs. Like I remember the school computers, right? When I was learning about computers back in school, like in middle school, even in junior school or elementary school, we would have, the school computers would just have a floppy disk drive. There was no CD drive back then. CDs came much later, right? So I remember the first computer that I ever laid my hands on was a DOS computer, right? So MS-DOS is the language that Microsoft uses, right, in the command prompt if you ever go to the command prompt for whatever reason, right? But back then it was MS-DOS. Like the entire computer was just a black screen and you have to type in commands on the keyboard in order to run things, right? So there was no interface where you would use a mouse back then. The first mouse enabled interface was Microsoft Windows 3.1, and I remember when the schools introduced that into their system, we would go crazy because we were able to play games on it. Not that we weren't able to play games with my MS-DOS. There were some amazing DOS games that I still remember, like Prince of Persia and Skyroads, and there was another one, Frogger, I believe, was on DOS, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong here, all you old school people out there. So anyways, yeah, and then we would play games on Windows 3.1. So for example, there was this game called Ski, and you would have to use the mouse to kind of control where the guy was going as he skied down the slope. And yeah, so games like that came out, and I was addicted, of course, being a young kid. And we would play with my friends. We'd get together and start competing with each other and seeing who's good, right? I'd go to my friend's house to play Skyroads and other games, right? So anyways, yeah, so that evolved, and then CDs came out. And the first game that I ever got as a CD box was the first Baldur's Gate. I still remember this. The first Baldur's Gate that came out, I think it was in 96 or 90, I'm not sure, 96 or 97. Yeah, around that time. I think some of y'all weren't even born that time. So, yeah, you could tell how old I am. But yeah, no, those games were gems, right? And the way they were designed, like you had these big, huge boxes that had amazing inlaid, embossed logos and writing, and everything was just designed so well. And yeah, of course, so the game would contain CDs, and what we would do is, in order to install the game, it would require a number of CDs because the game was just so large. It was massive, and it was impossible to contain it on just one CD. So you would require several CDs in order to install the entire thing. So yeah, so Baldur's Gate came out, I played that, and then I moved on to, I still remember this, I was a huge fan of Space Sims. So I would play games like Star Wars, TIE Fighter, that was a game that I used to play. And then there was Star Trek, Fleet Command, there was the first Homeworld that came out, there was Diablo 1 and 2, and I played that, plus the expansion, Lord of Destruction. And eventually, as games evolved into internet gaming, I would play Counter-Strike with my friends, and we would skip school just to go play Counter-Strike in an internet cafe, right? I would use my parents' allowance and just skip school for a couple of hours and just go play Counter-Strike. And Unreal Tournament, I think, was also the rage back then. So yeah, a couple of games that I used to play, and eventually, again, it evolved, and I was still keeping track of all that stuff, right, as it evolved. So I've seen games come a long way, and even now, right, I still game on occasion. Like I play Cyberpunk 2077, Skyrim. I play, what's the other game that was play? Far Cry, the entire Far Cry series. Was never really an online gamer. Like I never got on the Fortnite train. I never got on the Apex Legends train. I just never resonated with that stuff, right? Because it was just a lot of content and a lot of hype, and I just didn't see myself being a Fortnite gamer. I'm more of an offline gamer, so I would play games that were offline, for example, Cyberpunk 2077, because I love games that have a good storyline and a good character set that I can easily relate to, right? So yeah, huge fan of RPGs. Of course, being a huge Baldur's Gate fan back then, of course I have the new Baldur's Gate 3, right? And I've tested it out. It's solid gaming experience. So anyways, yeah, so being a gamer, being an avid gamer, and being an old school gamer, you could say, I decided it only makes sense for this Ajushi to hop on the bandwagon. So the announcement that I have, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else in between, try to be inclusive here, okay? So I respect everybody here on this channel. So the announcement that I have, I'm super excited. I'm going to start a gaming channel on Twitch, and I'm going to call it Daebak Gaming. And the game that I'm going to be probably streaming on Twitch is actually INZOi, which is done by a Korean software development company, or a Korean gaming company, Krafton, I believe. Yeah. So I'm still sticking to the whole realm of Korean entertainment, and I'm bringing to you via stream Daebak Gaming, and we're going to be focusing on INZOi. So you're going to see me live my life as a Zoi, as they're called, and how I probably go through that entire world and discover what it has to offer. So very excited, very exciting. So if there are any game lovers and gamers out there, make sure to stay tuned, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because this is exactly where I'll be giving you all the updates on how that's coming along, because there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. I have to set it up and do some research. So stay with me. I'm going to be announcing the big release for that streaming channel very soon, but I wanted to make this sort of pre-announcement to keep all of you in the loop, right? Because I absolutely love what I do here as a reaction YouTuber, but I also want to expand. I want to grow. I'm giving back all of that love through the videos that I make, but I appreciate all the love that I get in return. So keep those comments coming, keep that feedback coming, keep those interactions going, because my only purpose on this channel is to bring you Daebak content. So this is your host Domino, signing off from Daebak Reacts TV. Peace.